Save the elephants, save the world.
Save the jaguars, save the world.
Save the tigers, save the world.
Where we going? We gonna go save the chimpanzees!
Save the tiger, save the world.
Hey guys, welcome to our safari family. We're here with our incredible big baby girl, Bubbles the elephant, and some of her friends.
Moksha Baby, China York,
and Kodyantle.
Bubbles has been a family member of ours for the last 37 years. 9 foot tall, 9,000 pound African elephant girl. I met Bubbles almost 38 years ago. She was a tiny ivory orphan, so small. That little elephant baby came into our lives because she needed to be rescued. In Africa in the early 80s, there was nowhere for thousands of baby elephants that were the orphans of the ivory trade. Those tiny baby elephants all needed someone to care for them. Maybe a handful ever found someone to adopt them and care for them. This little girl looked healthy enough and happy enough, so we got her on a 747 in Johannesburg, South Africa. She flew to Atlanta, Georgia. There in Atlanta, she was able to come out with us and come home and stay with us ever since. That little tiny elephant moved right into our house, and we stayed with her 24/7. She was such a tiny kid. She wanted to be with you round the clock. She wanted to be with you where that big schnoz could touch you at any moment. She always wanted that big nose to be the furthest distance that you would be. So we stayed with her side by side every single night of her life for the first decade. We slept next to her, and every day someone sat with her. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep, was a stressed kid at the time after coming out of that tragedy of Ivory Orphan, and she was able to find solace in our family, hanging out with us. Now, this big baby girl started out really small, and then she grew very slowly over time, 4 to 6 inches a year. 10 years after Bubbles had moved in with us, she was still so tiny. A little teeny elephant baby that needed still to be with us all the time. Even at night, we had to stay right with this little elephant lady. She wanted someone at night to hang on to that trunk. If you fell asleep holding the trunk, everything was okay so long as she did. But if you dropped it too early in the nighttime, that trunk would be back, slapping you in the face, saying, "Hold my trunk, I'm scared." She wanted to have constant companionship, whether she was asleep or awake, so she stayed right by the side of my bed year after year. That little elephant growing so slowly, even after 10 years, she was able to walk right through the front door and into the kitchen. Since Bubbles moved in with me, my family grew. I've had 4 children, all of whom were able to grow up around Bubbles and hang out with her. She'd come in at night to have dinner, she'd be playing around with us, and the kids would just be there right with her. She learned to have somebody ride her by just having someone sit on her back. The kids would go up there with a plate of spaghetti, give a little to the elephant, have a little themselves, and grow up in this wonderful environment of having an elephant in the house. Now, we had many other elephants in Bubbles' life. A lot of other elephants spent years with her, but none of them became friends with her. Bubbles is really into the family. She's into what we're doing, and other elephants were just props in her life. She'd spend years hanging around them, but they stayed separate. They didn't really build a relationship. I think that she looked at us and the relationship she could get with us as being the solace that she needed and what she was looking for someone to be around and to fulfill her social needs. The kids and the family and I were always there with her.
This is my big sister, Bubbles the elephant, a 9,000 pound, 9 foot tall African elephant girl. She's been around my whole life. She actually really is my big sister. She's about 6 years older than I am, so she was my dad's first daughter. We've been hanging out together since I was a little tiny kid. Some of my oldest memories are actually riding around on Bubbles through the jungles and through the forests of all the places we've lived. One of my favorite memories of Bubbles the elephant was when my sister Tawny was born. She was a little tiny baby, and we brought that little baby out to see Bubbles, and Bubbles walked over and snorked the baby, put her trunk on her, and she started crying, and Bubbles actually ran away and acted like she had done something wrong. We had to call her back over and say, it's okay, and actually introduce the baby to her, and she held my little baby sister and was kind of meeting her, and that was how we kind of introduced her to the family.
I met this big girl when I was 17, just about to turn 18, and I've lived with her and known her now for 20 years. She's incredibly kind and loving, and then she is the epitome of what we do here at Myrtle Beach Safari, because people just fall in love with her, and she acts so nice and wonderful, and so people they just fill their hearts with love and joy from just a hug from an elephant. If you check out my Instagram account, I'm one of Bubbles' toys. I actually join her nearly every day in the summertime to swim with her and her amazing dog friends. It has been such an adventure to be able to live this life with her.
This is ivory. It's a blessing and curse for elephants. It is the tool that they use to be able to manipulate their environment and to be able to dig and use it for all kinds of work. But it's also why they're being killed at an alarming rate. 100 elephants a day are still killed for their ivory, even though it's illegal. Elephants are being poached still at an alarming rate. That's over 40,000 elephants a year are being killed still, and that's wiping out the last of the elephant populations. Elephants have already been reduced in their home range by 90%. Elephants are really on the brink and are disappearing quickly. No one should have ivory except an elephant. Doesn't matter where it came from or what's happening to get it. Elephant ivory is no good. If you look at Bubbles right now, you can easily see that she's decided that she's going to have shorter tusks right now. She trims her tusks all the time. Elephant tusks grow 4 to 6 inches a year. Bubbles is about 38 years old. If she'd never trimmed her tusks, they'd be 17 feet long. Elephants use their tusks as tools all the time. So they rub them, they chisel things with them, they pry up roots out of the ground, they'll even chip rocks off and suck on and eat rocks. The tusks are an endless tool. Bubbles has decided to knock them off at different times. She split and cracked them, all kinds of things, and we've trimmed them up ourselves. This one she split a few months ago, and we took the split part back, but this one she's trimmed off for the last 5 years. There's a tusk right there that she's just got under the surface, and she just rubs it on the rocks and buffs it back and forth. It's like an emery board. She at any time can make it as short as she wants. Now, the tusks of an elephant are on African elephants in both males and females. In Asian elephants, they're just in the males. Bubbles has had 5-foot-long tusks about the size of my arm, but she spent about half the time with 0 or very short tusks. Just depends on her mood. Bubbles trimming her tusks is a lot like your kids cutting their own hair, especially right before the class picture. Bubbles just goes out and makes a trimming exercise of the tusks. Sometimes they've been big and beautiful, and the next day they're gone. It's not what I wanted to do, but she's got her own vision of how things are supposed to happen. If you look at that incredible eye right there, elephants have this amazing set of eyelashes. It's really a set of sunglasses and bug screen built in together. It blocks some of the sunlight from getting to them, but it makes a full bug screen that's able to protect the eye from all of the bugs that are living wild across the African plains. It's moist all the time around their eye. That's why it's a little bit darker, and because it's that little bit darker, it's showing you that there's moisture there. The bugs want to come up and drink, but Bubbles has that built-in sunscreen and built-in bug screen at the same time.
Now, elephants are the largest land mammal. Now, mammal means that she nurses her young, they have live births, and they're covered in hair. Look at this. This is absolutely crazy. This is her tail. This tail is really important. This hair feels exactly like wire. It is so tough. It's amazing. And what's going to happen is if a big mean insect comes over here and tries to bite her, she can
slap that and possibly even kill it to keep those insects off of her. They actually make a lot of jewelry and other things out of elephant hair. Do not buy it. Do not buy anything made out of a wild animal. The only way they get this hair is by killing them. So don't buy it. Save the elephant. Save the world.
One of the most prominent features on an African elephant that lets you know it's African is this giant ear that's shaped like Africa. Now, if it was an Asian elephant, the ear would actually be tiny. It would be 90% smaller than this elephant ear right here. Another feature that lets you know that this is an African is her head. It's a big, broad head with a big forehead. Now, if it was an Asian, it would have two bumps up there, kind of like a butt head.
Bubbles has these gigantic ears. The ears are not huge to make them be able to hear better. This is actually a radiator to help her cool her body down. The ear is full of blood as she gets warm. Has a huge vein structure back here. If you look at the back of this ear, this big venous structure fills the ear with blood, and as the ear fills with blood, she can flap them, and she flaps them, and it helps to cool down her body temperature. So it's really a built-in radiator. The reason the ears are so large in African elephants is because they live in the hot noonday sun, where the Asian elephant with its tiny ear can live in the shade much easier.
Look at these unbelievable eyelashes. These have an incredible importance for her. In the wilds in Africa, those eyelashes keep the bugs out of her eyes. And look at them, they're absolutely beautiful. You're a pretty girl, aren't you? Yeah. Elephants have wrinkles, wrinkles, wrinkles. Elephants have wrinkles, wrinkles everywhere. On their toes, on their nose, no one knows. Actually, we do know. The reason for it is it actually helps hold moisture. So when she gets wet, whether she walks into a body of water or if she takes that huge trunk and throws it all over her body, these wrinkles are going to help her maintain moisture. That moisture gets in between there. Right after that, she's going to take dirt. She's going to throw dirt all over her whole body. That dirt is going to stick to the moisture that's stuck in here. It's going to act as insect repellent. It's going to act as sunscreen. And it's just going to help keep her cool. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
The elephant's trunk is amazingly strong. She can move about 10% of her body weight with ease with it. She can lift up a lot of weight. It's nothing for her to pick up something that weighs a couple hundred pounds. You want to pick him up right there for me? Good girl. It's nothing for Bubbles to lift somebody up. There's enormous strength and dexterity in that nose right there. Bubbles, can you put him back down? All right, head down. Good girl. Yeah. That's a good girl, Bubbles. That's a good girl. An elephant's trunk is made of 40,000 individual pieces. Tiny muscles are bonded together from the tip of the nose, running all the way up, connecting through a hole in the forehead directly to the brain. This incredible trunk is actually an amazing adaptation of her upper lip and her nose combined. Every breath she's taking goes in and out of that schnoz. Let me see that trunk, Bubba. Take it. Yeah, right there. Get it. Yeah. Good girl. That is such a good girl. Thank you. Bubbles uses this trunk in amazing ways. It's an incredible investigating hand. It's also every breath she takes, but it's a super straw. She can drink up to 100 gallons of water in a single day. Bubbles is going to show you how she uses that amazing trunk. Show us what a little sip looks like, big girl. Go right ahead. and it goes down the hatch. The trunk doesn't allow it to be a straw that goes all the way up. It goes halfway. Now she's going to go for the rest of that, get some more suction in there. She's got amazing suction power. Elephant's trunk is like a hand for her. She's able to pinch together and just grab a single blade of grass right there, or she can use it to have a really big grip and hold something really tight. Right now it's pink because it's got some of that Hawaiian punch on it, but it shows that amazing structure of the tip of that nose. If you look at the structure of this amazing foot right here, it has a really cool process where every step they take, the foot shrinks and expands with each step. That's so that if they're in the mud and they're stepping down, the foot expands across, and then when they lift it up, it shrinks, and the elephant will never get stuck in the mud. You know, if you put your own shoe down in the mud in the right setup, your shoe gets stuck and you have to pull your foot out of it. The elephant's foot is designed in that same way.
Look at the incredible texture of this foot. It's soft but tough, and it looks kind of like the moon.
I got a little piece of honey candy for Bubbles. I wanted to open up her mouth so you can see her unbelievable molars. You want to open that up? Look at those crazy molars in there. She has 4 sets of 4 teeth. She only chews with the 2 in the front. She's gonna chew until those have actually worn out, and then it's like a Pez dispenser. New ones will come in from behind and push it out. She gets to go through 6 or 7 sets of teeth in her lifetime. We only get to go through 2.
Hey guys, come visit us at the Myrtle Beach Safari and meet this big girl Bubbles the elephant.
And look us up on the web at rarespeciesfund.org and learn what we're doing to save elephants every day in the wild.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next one.
Save the elephant.
Save the world.